What is up, everybody? I am NerdRage36 with another pickups video. And I actually don't have a ton of games. I don't even really have a ton of stuff this time around. So this might be a little shorter, but I probably have a lot more to say about the few games that I do have. And to start off with, not really something to do with the larger discussion at hand that might be happening, and that is Super Mario Advance, which is Mario Bros. 2 on the Game Boy Advance. Now, I already have the NES version, and I have Super Mario All-Stars. I specifically have the Mario World combo pack. So why do I need this? I mean, portability is always nice, but also I grew up playing Super Mario 3, aka Mario Advance 4, on the Game Boy Advance. That was one of the first Game Boy Advance games I got with my SP on Christmas. So I figured just having more of the advanced games would be a lot of fun. And I'm not sure if this is accurate. I know it was like this in Mario Bros. Deluxe on Game Boy Color. It might have been the same way with Mario 3 on Game Boy Advance, but I think this game also saves between each level rather than between each world. And while I have gotten more and more used to high difficulty in games, so having to start over from a certain point is more bearable to me nowadays, it's still nice to have quality of life features like that. And hey, if I want the more difficult one, got two versions back there. So not much to complain about. Now, the only other games that I got this week just so happened to feature another famous video game Italian. Ezio Auditore da Frenzy. Yes, I had to say it that way. But yes, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Now, I am fully aware that nowadays, at least, and even for a few years after a certain point, the Assassin's Creed games, for lack of a better term, became the butt of many jokes because they just kept getting pumped out year after year, even after what was supposed to be the natural story conclusion. And Ubisoft has now basically created the mold of the mindless corporate greed style of game design, and it started with Assassin's Creed. Not necessarily these, though, more so the more they just kept pushing things out. But that does not mean that the original series is bad. I'm sure that, and heck, most people would say that some of the more recent games or some of the later games after the original series, Assassin's Creed isn't a straight line and then plunge down. It's very much up and down. A lot of people are willing to admit to that. So if there are bad ones, then there are good ones. And I am fully aware that the original series is considered some of the good ones. But more than that, I have actually dabbled in the Assassin's Creed series before this, and that was through Bloodlines on the PSP. Now, I'm fully aware that a lot of games on the PSP, specifically stuff like the Prince of Persia games on PSP, the Tomb Raider games on the PSP, and I think possibly Dante's Inferno on PSP, are just watered-down ports of the home console games. But that's not what this is, although I'm certain a lot of people would look at it as that. This game was specifically built from the ground up for the hardware. It tells an original story. It actually takes place between Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2. So like a lot of games on PSP, it is, I guess the term would be an in-between-quel. But also it's the only other game you play as Altair. That's pretty cool. But more importantly, I think that this is an interesting game to go back to after Assassin's Creed 3 and onward just kept adding so much unnecessary mechanics and ideas, just cramming it into there. And especially with some of the later games like Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla with all of the like almost like single player MMO type like environments and mechanics and just like so much bloat that a rather simplified sandbox stealth game. In fact, it's not even a full sandbox. It's like several mini sandboxes as per the hardware. I think a stripped down, more back to basics gameplay style, like if you played the original series and you are sick of the more modern Assassin's Creed formula, I think you should give this a try because it's definitely not different, but it's simple and not in a bad way. It definitely got me interested into the rest of the series. In fact, without spoiling anything, there's a moment towards the end that had my jaw on the floor, and maybe that might have had less of an impact if I had played the first game. Who knows? I'm going to get around to playing the first game. But it did its job. It got me interested in the rest of the series, and, well, now I have them. Isn't that all purty? All lined up like that? But I think what's more important about why I decided to get the rest of the Assassin's Creed games, at least the initial storyline. Well, first of all, the initial storyline is what I was most interested in. And I know people are going to say, but Black Flag is so good. Black Flag is so good. I might check that out. But my priority was the first 5 games. The original storyline where it was supposed to be from the beginning before, you know. But that's only part of the reason. I'm sure most of you have seen Ubisoft's claims about game ownership nowadays. And like the all-digital future that so many people keep telling me to just suck it up and say, all right, that's what's going to happen from now on. No. You see, just look behind me. Like, do I look like the kind of idiot that's just going to accept an all-digital future? And no. And it's funny. Every single Ubisoft game that I have ever expressed interest in, like the Assassin's Creed series ever since I played Bloodlines, these games, not only are they from a time period where everything's going to be on the disc anyway, especially if they did a re-release, and they're so old that they can be easily found at secondhand and retro game stores. That means to Ubisoft and their claims about game ownership, I got just one thing to say about it.
You have no power here.